Hi everyone, today I'm going to be showing you how to make this Crochet Plushie Blunt. This is a beginner-friendly pattern, so the only crochet knowledge you'll need to know is how to do a magic ring, how to do a single crochet, a chain, and a slip stitch. If you're not familiar with those techniques, you can check out my video Crocheting for Beginners, and then return to this video once you're ready. If you prefer a written version, I do have a written pattern available on my Etsy, so feel free to check that out. For the materials, you are going to need some yarn. In this tutorial, I'll be using this weight for acrylic yarn and making a mini version of it. Since I'm making a small version, I'm not going to need much, but I am going to need 5 different colors. The biggest one will be in white, and then we'll need a little bit of black, red, orange, and yellow. If you want to make the plushie version of it like this one, you'll just need to use some weight 6 chenille yarn, and you'll need a bit more of it since it's a bigger version. Both of these are made using the same pattern, it's just different yarn and different hook sizes. Since I'll be using this weight 4 yarn, I'm going to be using a 3.5mm hook. For the larger version with the plushie yarn, I use a 4.5mm, but feel free to size your hook up or down based on your tension and the yarn that you're using. You'll also need a pair of scissors, a darning needle, and a stitch marker, and you'll need some stuffing. Alright, so to start, we're going to grab our first color, which mine is going to be white. We'll grab our hook and our stitch marker. We're going to start by making a magic ring and placing 4 single crochet in it. So I've got my magic ring. I'm just going to place my single crochet. After my first one, I am going to grab my stitch marker and mark off that first stitch. This is super helpful because we're going to be working this piece in continuous rounds, so we'll need to know where our rounds start and end. Then I'm just going to add 3 more single crochet, and while I'm doing this, you can see that I am working over the tail, so I'm crocheting around the magic ring and the tail so that we can close this ring up. So there's my 4th single crochet. Then I'm just going to pull my tail and close this ring up. So this is round 1. For round 2, we're going to place an increase in every single stitch here to get to 8 stitches. So we're going to go around and place our first one right where our stitch marker is. And I'm going to move my stitch marker up. And I'm going to go ahead and place a second single crochet in that same stitch to complete my first increase. And then we're going to repeat this for the next 3 stitches. So 2 single crochet in each stitch. This is what it should be looking like, and the first round should be popping up a bit with the second round going down, so it's a little bit like a bowl shape or starting to form a cone. Make sure that you've pulled your tail tight so that the center is fully shut. For round 3, we're going to place 1 single crochet in each stitch to continue to have 8 stitches. So I'll go ahead and place my first one, and then I'll be moving my stitch marker up. And then 1 single crochet in each stitch all the way around. For round 4, we're going to do a single crochet and then an increase and repeat that 4 times for a total of 12 stitches. So in the first stitch, we're going to place our single crochet and then move our stitch marker up. And then the next stitch, we're going to do an increase and then repeat this 3 more times. So a single crochet and then an increase and repeat that 2 more times. For round 5, we're going to place 1 single crochet in each stitch to continue to have 12 stitches this round. For round 6, we'll place 2 single crochets and then an increase in the 3rd stitch, repeating that 4 times, so we'll get to 16 stitches. So I'm going to place my first single crochet and then move my stitch marker up. Place a second single crochet and then an increase in the 3rd stitch, and we'll repeat that 3 more times. So 1, 2, increase, and repeat that 2 more times. For round 7, we're going to place 1 single crochet in each stitch, continuing to have 16 stitches. For round 8, we're going to place 3 single crochet and then an increase in the 4th stitch, repeating that 4 times around to get us to a total of 20 stitches. So 1 single crochet, moving the stitch marker up, 2 stitches, 3 stitches, and an increase. And then repeat that 3 more times. 1, 2, 3, increase, and repeat that 2 more times. For round 9, we'll place 1 single crochet in each stitch, continuing to have 20 stitches. For round 10, we're going to continue the pattern and do 4 single crochet and then an increase in the 5th stitch, and this will get us to 24 stitches. So first single crochet, number 2, 3, and 4, and then our increase in the 5th stitch, and then repeat that 3 more times. Round 11, we're going to place 1 single crochet in each stitch to continue to have 24 stitches. Round 12, we're going to place 5 single crochet, increase in the 6th stitch, and that will get us to 28 stitches. So that was our first stitch, then 2, 3, 4, 5, and an increase in the 6th stitch. Repeat this 3 more times. Round 13, we'll place 1 single crochet in each stitch for a total of 28 stitches. For round 14, we'll place 6 single crochet and an increase in the 7th stitch. So that is 1 single crochet, number 2, number 3, number 4, 5, and 6, and then an increase in the 7th stitch. Repeat this 3 more times, and that'll get us to 32 stitches. For round 15, we're going to place 1 single crochet in each stitch, continuing to have 32 stitches. For round 16, we're going to place 7 single crochets and an increase in the 8th stitch, and this will get us to 36 stitches. So I'll place my first one, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and an increase in the 8th stitch, and repeat this 3 more times. At this point, we are now done all of our increases, so for the next 13 rounds, that's round 17 to 29, we're going to place a single crochet in each stitch, so each round will continue to have 36 stitches. I'm going to do this off camera and meet you back once I've completed my 13 rounds of 36 stitches. Alright, I am back after finishing round 29, and this is what we are looking like. We do have a little bit of a harsh transition from our increases to our straight rounds, but as we stuff the piece, most of that will buff out and it'll look a bit smoother. We are now going to transition to doing these in joined rounds, meaning we're going to end each round with a slip stitch and start the next one with a chain 1 as we do our color changes. So you can grab your black yarn because that's the next one we're going to be using. And we're going to end round 29 by doing a slip stitch, but we are not going to count the slip stitch or the chain 1 in our stitch count, so just ignore those. So grabbing our new yarn, we're going to do our color change. I do this using the slip knot method. So I'm going to start by making a slip knot with my yarn. I'm going to put that on my hook and pull it through the loop I have there, and then pull my white yarn tight. So I just need to make sure that my knot is on the right side. So it should be behind the white. Then I'm going to pull my white tight. And behind it here, I'm going to take my black end and my white end and tie those together as tight as I can get them. And this is to make sure that we are fully securing our yarn in place. So I'm just going to do a second knot. And now we're working with our black. At this point, we can cut off our white because we're not going to be using that again. Now that we have our black, we're going to start this round by doing a chain 1. And remember, we're not counting that chain 1 in our stitch count. And then we're going to place 36 single crochets around, so that's just 1 single crochet in each stitch. For my first stitch, I'm going to work over my tails just to help secure them in place. So you can see my tails are on top of my hook there. I'm going to yarn under and then complete my single crochet. Then I'm just going to continue and place 1 single crochet in each stitch. Just need to make sure I move my stitch marker up. And then I'm going to continue placing 1 single crochet in each stitch around. Alright, so that is all of my black stitches. We're going to end this round by slip stitching into our starting stitch. For the next round, round 31, we are going to start our decreases, but before we do that, this is a good place to pause and start stuffing our piece, just so that we can make sure we get it fully stuffed down to the base. So I'm just going to put my stitch marker into my loop here, my working yarn. That way it doesn't fall out while we're stuffing it. So you can see when I pull my end, it's not going to come out. So I'm going to grab my stuffing and start stuffing this piece. I'm going to start with small amounts so I can get it down to the base, and I'm going to use my hook just to help get it all the way down into the point. And we want to make sure we're stuffing this firmly. That way it buffs out all of the edges like I mentioned earlier. So as I'm stuffing the bottom of the cone, I'm going to continue to take small pieces and slowly build it up, making sure it's as filled out in the base of the cone as it can be. Alright, so it's almost fully stuffed. You can see there's stuffing right up to the top. As we do the decreases, I will continue to put a bit more stuffing in to make sure it's fully rounded at the top. The cone part, you may need to do a little bit of shaping just to make sure it's a nice smooth increase like we want. But now that we've stuffed it, we can move on to round 31. We're going to grab our red yarn and do a color change. Since we're not going to need our black yarn anymore, I am going to snip this one off. And we can take out our stitch marker so we can start working on it again. So grabbing our red yarn, we're going to do the same method to do this color change, starting with a slip knot and putting that onto the hook and pulling it through the loop. Then I'm going to pull my black yarn tight to make a bit of a knot around it. I'm going to pull my red yarn tight as well, and then we're going to do a knot with both of these ends. And I always do at least 2 knots just to make sure it is secured. Now I'm going to chain 1 and we can start on our round. For this round, we're going to be placing 7 single crochets and then a decrease in the 8th and 9th stitches, and this will get us to 32 stitches. So I'm going to place my first single crochet and put my stitch marker up there. And then number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And now I'm going to do a decrease in the next 2 stitches. If you're not familiar with the invisible decrease method, I'll show you that now because it is my preferred way to do a decrease in amigurumi because it makes it look a little bit more seamless. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be working into the front loops of the next 2 stitches. For a normal decrease, when you're doing a single crochet 2 together, you would go right into your first stitch, but we're not going to do that. We're going to pick up the front loop of our first stitch. So you can see I only have the front loop on my hook, and then we're going to go into the front loop of the next stitch as well. So I have the front loops of both stitches on my hook there, and the back loops are just behind them. Then I'm going to yarn over and pull through both of those front loops. And now we have 2 loops of our red on our hook. Then we're going to yarn over and pull through both to complete our decrease. So you can see there's no big gaps on either side, and it makes it look a little bit more seamless. So we're going to repeat this 3 more times. So I'm going to do 7 single crochets and then a decrease, and I'll show you it one more time. So that's 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now we're going to pick up our front loop, and then we're going to go under and pick up our other front loop. Yarn over and pull through both. So we have 2 loops, yarn over and pull through both. And now when you're looking through it, it's not a huge difference from the regular single crochets and the decrease. When you're looking closely, you can tell, but it's not a big difference like a regular decrease would be. So you can go ahead and repeat this 2 more times. Okay, and that round is done. I just ended on a slip stitch, and that way we can start our next color change, and our next color is going to be orange. So I'm going to go ahead and snip off my red yarn, put that aside because we're not going to need it anymore. Grabbing my orange yarn, we're going to do a slip knot to attach it. So I'm pulling that through and pulling my red yarn tight, and then we're going to do a couple knots to secure it in place. All right, we're going to start this round with a chain 1, and then we're going to be placing 6 single crochets and then a decrease in the 7th and 8th stitches. This is going to get us down to 28 stitches. So we're going to place 1 single crochet and then move our stitch marker up. Then 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then a decrease in the 7th and 8th stitches, and repeat this 3 more times. All right, so I just did my last decrease, so I'm going to end the round with a slip stitch. And then we're going to grab our yellow and do another color change. I'm just going to cut off my orange since we're not going to need this one anymore. Grabbing my yellow, I'm going to make a slip knot and then pull that through the loop. Then I'm going to pull my orange color tight, pull the yellow tight as well, and then make a knot with both of my ends. Now I'm going to chain one with my yellow, and we're going to do 5 single crochet and then a decrease in the 6th and 7th stitch, and this is going to get us to 24 stitches. So my first single crochet, and I'll move my stitch marker up. And then I'm going to place 4 more single crochet. So that's 5, and then a decrease in the 6th and the 7th stitch. And then we'll repeat this 3 more times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then a decrease. And then repeat this 2 more times. Right, I'm just doing my last decrease, and then we're going to end the round with a slip stitch. And we don't need to cut off our yellow because we're going to continue with yellow for the next 2 rounds. The next 2 rounds are going to be the last 2 decrease rounds, so I'm going to stuff my piece a little bit more now. So I'm just pulling up a loop, and I'm going to put my stitch marker in that to make sure it doesn't come apart. I'm going to make sure all my ends are fully tucked in there so that they're not in the way, and get a little bit more stuffing. You want to make sure you are stuffing it fully around the edges to make sure it's smooth and round, because we want this top to be a nice round top. Okay, so that's about as stuffed as I can get it for now. For round 34, we're going to do a single crochet and then a decrease in the 2nd and 3rd stitches. So I'm just going to start with my chain 1, single crochet in the 1st stitch, and then move my stitch marker up. And then a decrease in the 2nd and 3rd stitch. And then we're going to repeat this a total of 8 times around, and this will get us down to 16 stitches. So single crochet, and then a decrease, just going back and forth between the 2 stitches. Single crochet, decrease. All right, so I just placed my last decrease. I'm going to slip stitch into my starting stitch. And then I'm going to chain 1 to start my last round. And for this round, we're going to be placing a decrease in every stitch for a total of 8 stitches. So I'm going to place my first decrease, and I'm going to grab my stitch marker and move it up. Now, before you complete this round, if your piece needs any more stuffing, you'll need to do that now, because this round is going to close it up. So I'm just going to place another decrease. This is my second one, and we're going to continue this all the way around. So that's 3 decreases, 4 decreases, number 5, number 6, number 7, and number 8. Right, and since that is our last round, I'm going to take out my stitch marker and we can fasten off and then stitch the top shut. So I'm just going to pull up a long loop and I'm going to cut it at the top, and then I'm going to pull my working yarn out. So now we're just left with this tail here. Now we can grab our darning needle and we're going to thread this needle so we can close up the top. To close up the top, we're going to go through the front loop of every single stitch here. So I'm just going to pick up that front loop, which is the one on the top, and pull my yarn through it. And then I'm just going to repeat that for every single stitch around here until I've gone through all 8. Right, now that I've gone through all 8, I'm going to pull my end, and that's going to close up my top. Then I'm going to just insert my needle back into the piece and up, pull that tight, and then I'm going to tie a little knot in the next stitch. This is just to make sure that none of this comes loose and our top doesn't open up. So I just put the knot there, and then I'm going to thread my needle back into the piece and out in a different area, pull that tight, and I'm going to repeat that a few times through the top just to make sure that this yarn is not going to come out anywhere. Once we've done that a few times, we're going to go back into the piece and I'm going to insert my needle back out the other side, and then I'm going to snip that. If there's anything showing through, I just use my needle to poke that back in. And now our top is done. Your piece may need a little bit of shaping, so I tend to just roll it a little bit to make it smooth. And that's what it looks like. So again, you don't have to use acrylic yarn to make this. You can use Plushie chenille yarn and make a bigger version like this. You could even use a jumbo yarn and make a jumbo blunt, or you can use a smaller yarn and a smaller hook and make a very mini one. Like I mentioned at the beginning, there is a written pattern to go along with this video, so if you prefer a written pattern, make sure to check out my Etsy and you can purchase it there. If you made your own version, I would love to see what you guys make, so feel free to tag me in any posts. All of my information is in the description below. And if you're looking to sell these, you absolutely can sell them. I just ask that you please credit me as the pattern designer by either tagging me or putting my information in the description. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a comment, like, and subscribe to see more content as I post new videos every Friday. Thank you guys for watching.